You're listening to Audiology. Support our work on Patreon and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. The wave of nationalism that spread through Europe was sparked by the French Revolution and the battles led by Napoleon. An expert in American political science, Leon Baradat, shed light on this by saying, "Nationalism calls on people to identify with the interests of their national group and to support the creation of a state, a nation-state, to support those interests." This idea of nationalism quickly reshaped Europe in just a few decades. Instead of being ruled by monarchies or controlled by foreign powers, countries moved towards self-rule and started forming their own national governments based on a shared national identity. Some nations, like Germany and Italy, came into being by bringing together various regions that shared a common sense of belonging. Meanwhile, countries like Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Poland broke free from the grips of the Ottoman or Russian empires through uprisings. Romania stands out because it was created by merging two principalities, Moldavia and Wallachia, in 1859, and then later declared independence from the Ottoman Empire in 1878. The concept of national awakening fundamentally emerged as a response to the Enlightenment. This movement highlighted the significance of a nation's identity and encouraged a more authentic form of cultural expression closely tied to the concept of nationhood. The German philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was at the forefront of shaping our contemporary understanding of the nation-state. The French Revolution, despite its focus on republican ideals, played a pivotal role in laying the groundwork for the modern nation-state and ignited a wave of nationalism across Europe. Influential personalities and the Napoleonic Code, introduced by Napoleon, were crucial in reshaping the political landscape of Europe. These transformations were propelled by the dual principles of nationalism and democracy, which gained momentum and became more defined during the tumultuous period marking the end of the 18th century. The notion of liberty, equality, fraternity, alongside the tenets of liberalism and the right to national self-determination, spread extensively through revolutionary efforts. Hegel posited that a shared sense of nationality acted as the binding force that kept modern societies intact, especially as allegiances linked to dynasty and religion began to diminish. However, after the conclusion of the Napoleonic Wars in 1815, the major powers of Europe gathered at the Congress of Vienna. Their primary objective was to restore the old dynastic rule as much as possible, intentionally ignoring the principle of national self-identity in preference for legitimism or the traditional claims to royal authority. At this juncture, the majority of Europeans still harbored a stronger loyalty to their local regions or cities over a broader national identity, confining nationalist sentiments to a relatively small cadre of intellectuals and political radicals. Furthermore, the Carlsbad Decrees issued in Austria in 1819 marked a period of political suppression, compelling many nationalists to pursue their activities clandestinely. A growing dislike for what many perceived as foreign control began to emerge in several places around the world. People in Ireland, Italy, Belgium, Greece, Poland, Hungary, and Norway started to resist foreign rulers and advocate for national independence. The Serbian Revolution, spanning from 1804 to 1817, marked the first significant uprising within the Ottoman Empire, driven by a desire for national identity. This began a trend that would eventually lead to the establishment of the Serbian nation. Similarly, the Greeks fought for and won their independence from the Ottomans between 1821 and 1829, although this new Greek state found itself significantly influenced by the major global powers. In Belgium, a revolution in 1830 and 1831 ultimately led to the country being officially recognized as independent from the Netherlands by 1839. This period also witnessed a rise in voices advocating for nationalism, encouraged by writers who argued for the right of every people to govern themselves. The Polish made two major attempts to rid themselves of Russian domination in 1831 and again in 1863. The year 1848 brought widespread revolutions across Europe, driven by a terrible famine, economic hardship, and a strong desire for political reform. In Italy, Giuseppe Mazzini saw an opportunity to advocate for unification and independence, famously stating that a people destined to achieve greatness must at some point become a nation. In Hungary, a national revolt was led by Lajos Kossuth against the ruling Habsburg family, and in Transylvania, Avram Iancu successfully led revolts in 1846. The turbulence of 1848 provided a second major platform for nationalist ideas to spread, leading to the creation of 7 new national states in Europe over the following 30 years. This shift was partly because conservative forces realized that the old way of governing was unsustainable. Reformers like Cavour in Italy and Bismarck in Germany collaborated with liberals to find common ground, leading to the birth of nation-states that balanced traditional conservatism with modern political ideas. In the Austrian Empire, a compromise with the Hungarians in 1867 established the dual monarchy. Cultural and historical pride played a significant role in these national movements. Following a standoff between Russia and Turkey, the great powers convened in Berlin in 1878, where they decided to grant independence to Romania, Serbia, and Montenegro, and provided Bulgaria with limited autonomy, reshaping the map of Europe with these new nations. Throughout Europe, numerous groups defined by race, ethnicity, or language grappled with the emergence of widespread politics, the fading influence of age-old social hierarchies, and the rise of discrimination and xenophobia. Within the vast Habsburg Empire, diverse communities began to adopt a form of nationalism that was more passionate, broad-reaching, and exclusive. This shift wasn't limited to those negatively impacted by the empire's power dynamics. Even the Germans and Magyars, who enjoyed certain benefits, were caught up in this wave. On Europe's edges, in countries like Ireland and Norway, the push for national independence grew louder. Norway successfully broke free from Sweden in the year 1905, but Ireland's path to self-rule was complicated by religious divisions, failing to achieve autonomy. Meanwhile, Poland's fight for independence from Russia faced repeated setbacks, with the country seeing a reduction in its autonomy across the 19th century, culminating in its full absorption into Russia. Amidst these nationalistic movements, the Jewish population in Eastern and Central Europe, facing anti-Semitism and without a nation of their own, began calling for a homeland. Energized by Theodor Herzl, a Hungarian-born Jewish nationalist, the First Zionist Congress of 1897 in Basel proclaimed their aim to establish a home in Palestine. By the turn of the century, the concept of nationalism had not only taken root across Europe, but had also begun to influence and challenge the colonial powers globally. In more recent times, nationalism is still on the rise in Europe, this time fueled by a backlash against globalization. Recent research points to the Chinese import shock as a catalyst, highlighting that the costs of adjusting to globalization have been unevenly distributed across European regions. This economic strain has led to a surge in support for nationalist and radical right-wing parties, which champion anti-globalization policies. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.